Money moves, the pros say, to make now for investors who are having a very good year. In today's cover story, why it's all about Apple this Christmas, plus why fans are less eager to get a taste of the newest installment of the Hunger Games, and a real tearjerker. Budweiser pulls a plug on everyone's favorite Super Bowl superstars. First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Angela Miles. It's Tuesday, November 25th. In our first look, no let up in the stock market rally. The Dow and S&P log in yet another record-setting close. It's the 46th all-time high for the S&P. The Nasdaq had a big day Monday, jumping 42 points higher, while commodities were rather quiet. Merck is the new owner of rights to an experimental Ebola vaccine. The treatment is being developed by Newlink Genetics. And will it rain milk money? Coca-Cola is launching a new kind of milk it says will have money pouring in. It's called Fairlife, has no lactose, 50% more protein, and less sugar. It comes out in December. In Trader Talk this morning, Alan Neckman of Bullseye Options gets our trading day started. Hello, Alan. And Hewlett-Packard seems to have high hopes in the options market ahead of earnings. What's your take?
I can't fight the trend. I can't fight the bullishness in the tech sector. We're getting close to 20%, believe it or not, 20% in the last year in the NDX. And it's not unforeseen for the NASDAQ market to test that 5,000 again eventually. We're 500 and some points off the lows of just a month ago, so it's very difficult to be a seller of anything tech.
We have a bit of a binge on economic news coming out today, including GDP and some housing numbers. Will those be market movers?
It's really hard to move this market. You know, we're really out of fundamentals as far as earnings goes. That's really been the driver in the last month. But looking at any other numbers, you know, it can give the market a little bit of a kick. But yesterday you could see we had tight ranges. We had that extreme melt up last Friday, but then some profit taking into the end of the day. You know, what we haven't seen here as a trader, we haven't seen any retracement or pullback after this straight up 10% move. And I think that's what everybody's waiting for. And, you know, it's hard to be a seller, again, of anything because people have learned the hard way that the market snapped back.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Rough sledding is predicted Wednesday as Americans head home for the holiday or try to get in some early shopping. Bernie Rayno of AccuWeather is standing by. Bernie.
Wednesday is going to be a rough day to do that, from the Carolinas all the way up in the Maine. Not only because that we're looking for a snowstorm, but from I-95 on east, it is going to be a soaking rain. So Wednesday's not going to be a good day. The rain will be starting in D.C. and Philly by the late morning into the afternoon, and then the precipitation will end as snow. And we're looking at widespread delays on the roadways. And if you are flying on Wednesday, there are going to be delays. And even if you're not flying in the eastern United States, there's going to be ripple effects across the entire country. So the busiest travel day of the year is going to be, I want to use a nightmare because I think we're going to see that many delays. This storm will be leaving, though, on Wednesday night and even up in Maine by Thanksgiving Day. So for the Friday shopping, while it's going to be cold across the eastern United States, I think we're not looking at any rain or snow. And I think much of the country on Friday is going to be dry.
Thank you, Bernie. Chuck Coppola steps in now with why it's beginning to look a lot like Apple everywhere you go this Christmas.
In our cover story, could the latest smartphone or phablet by one manufacturer be so in demand and so expensive that it takes a noticeable slice out of holiday spending at other retailers? That's the case of the Apple 6 and 6 Plus iPhones, according to Canadian financial services company Canaccord Genuity. Canaccord Genuity, a Canadian banking and financial services firm, thinks holiday shopping may be diminished because consumer spending on upgrades and purchases of Apple's iPhone 6 and 6 Plus during November and December will reach $4 billion. Much of that because a lot of consumers are buying the $800 or higher phone outright rather than pay a lower amount monthly but commit to a service agreement that may be more expensive in the long run.
It depends on what's important to you, right? So the techies are going to go out and they're going to spend $800.
But by spending so much up front, is there anything left for holiday shopping? Canaccord estimates it will cut nearly 1% of a projected increase in spending the National Retail Federation was expecting.
It lowers the amount of money they've got to spend on gifts. If they're dropping $1,000 or $800 or $700 on a phone that wasn't a planned expense, undoubtedly that's going to come out of their discretionary spending income, which is the same bucket that they pull gifts out of. So it affects all the other spending that they have that's discretionary.
But most people we talk with think you can do both.
If you have enough money to spend $800 on an iPhone, you're not really worried about not spending more money at Christmas time.
If you paid $800 for a phone, would it affect your holiday spending?
Fortunately, no.
Other analysts predict a sales surge for Apple this quarter. Hong Kong-based KGI Securities predicts Apple sales will jump 40% from where they were just a year ago. And a lot may depend on how much Americans will be willing to buy on credit. Already, consumer spending with plastic is trending upward to its highest level since 2009. The Federal Reserve says total revolving consumer credit, people using credit cards, rose 3.3% in the third quarter.
As retailers fret about Christmas, investors are preparing to feast on stocks. Research by Bespoke Investment Group shows the S&P 500 has made gains of 0.64% on average dating back to 1945, the week of Thanksgiving. Stock market returns during Thanksgiving week tend to be greater when stocks are up more than 10% going into the holiday week. At the start of this week, the S&P was already up 11.6% for the year.
President Obama heads to his old stomping grounds to promote executive action on immigration. In Chicago today, the president will meet with community leaders at the Polish-American Association. The meeting will be followed by a speech. Last week, the president unveiled executive orders on immigration that would protect nearly 5 million undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. from deportation. The president has had fierce pushback from Republicans who accuse him of overstepping his authority. President Obama has responded by advising Congress to pass an immigration bill. The president has also maintained that he has made fewer executive orders than previous presidents.
A new startling stat shows there are now more payday lenders in the U.S. than McDonald's or Starbucks. 20,000 payday lenders operate across the country, according to the St. Louis Federal Reserve. McDonald's has about 14,000 locations. Starbucks has just under 12,000. Payday lenders are often used by lower-income people who do not have access to credit cards or banks.
A highly sophisticated spying tool has been detected on Windows PCs across the globe. It's called Region. The Trojan tool was reportedly in use between 2008 and 2011, and then again in 2013. The system targeted computers in Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Iran, as well as several other countries. The U.S., though, was not on that list. It was discovered by computer security firm Symantec. The company calls the bug highly inconspicuous. Symantec's stock closed up almost 2% yesterday.
As a slew of economic news on the housing sector comes into the market today, predictions are already out that landlords will rule in 2015 and 2016. The vacancy rate will inch up from 4% now to 4.3% by the end of 2015, according to the National Association of Realtors. When rates are below 5%, landlords tend to have the power to raise rents.
A shareholder group is trying to shake up the power structure at Bank of America. A faith-based group of investors known as the Sisters of Charity of St. Elizabeth wants the bank to separate Brian Moynihan's roles of chairman and CEO. Last month, Moynihan was named chairman of B of A's board. Investors argued that an independent chairman is needed to oversee the bank. B of A has no comment on the proposal.
Americans are running into a clutch situation with their car payments. According to TransUnion, the auto loan delinquency rate jumped 13% this year compared to the third quarter last year. Also, in a sign Americans are borrowing more money to buy cars, auto loan debt rose for the 14th quarter in a row, this time edging up to $17,300 from $16,600. Delinquency rates are highest among people in the 30 to 39 age bracket. But overall, the numbers of Americans having trouble making payments by far is lower than during the financial crisis.
Tesla could be charging ahead on a relationship with BMW. CEO Elon Musk tells a German magazine that the two companies may start collaborating on battery technology or charging stations. Musk also discussed his plans to make further inroads into Germany. He says Tesla is aiming to have a battery plant open there in 5 to 6 years. Tesla spokesperson called Elon Musk's comments informal.
Changing gears now, The Hunger Games had both a winning and a losing weekend at the box office. The third installment of the series Mockingjay Part 1 came in well ahead of the competition with $123 million, but that was down 22% from The Hunger Games Catching Fire. Let's turn to our movie critic. Are fans, Eric, losing an appetite for this series?
I don't think they're losing an appetite for it. This could be one of those cases where people are sort of disillusioned with the idea that a lot of these final movies in these franchises are being split into two parts. We saw it with Harry Potter, we saw it with Twilight. It's going to be happening with Divergent that Lionsgate has coming up in the next few years. And it could be a case where people are just saying, no, I'm going to wait until I can either rent or buy the DVD and then go see Part 2.
Thank you, Eric. Rounding out the top 5 at the box office, Big Hero 6, Interstellar, Dumb and Dumber 2, and Gone Girl.
Pay TV channel Starz is reportedly getting attention from several suitors in a possible $5 billion deal. According to the New York Post, both Lionsgate and CBS are interested in building pay TV assets. Talks are at an early stage, according to the paper, and could include possibilities beyond just a straight sale, either strategic alignments or asset swaps. Something of a shooting star stock, Starz closed up more than 2% yesterday.
Checking out a movie rental from Redbox to cost you more green as Redbox revenues reel 5% lower. The price of a DVD rental per night will pop from $1.20 to $1.50 starting next Tuesday. Blu-ray discs rentals and video games will also rise in price. The CEO admits the company is running out of places to set up its Redboxes. On the economic calendar for today, it's a GDP for the second estimate, Case-Shiller, the 20-city index, FHFA housing price index, and consumer confidence. On the earnings calendar, watch for Tiffany, DSW, Campbell's Soup, Hewlett-Packard, TiVo, Hormel Foods, and Movado Group. Still to come, how to prep your portfolio for 2015, plus how small businesses are in it to win it this Saturday, and are things a little unstable at Budweiser? We'll be right back.
A sad day for fans of Budweiser's famous Clydesdale commercials. The beer brand says it will not use its iconic Clydesdales in a series of ads this holiday season. Instead, Bud has tapped rapper Jay-Z for its ads. That's as Budweiser turns its focus toward younger drinkers. Wall Street Journal reports that the craft beer boom in bars has Budweiser sales slipping. No word yet if the famous Clydesdales will make an appearance for Budweiser's Super Bowl ads.
While Black Friday is all about the deal, Small Business Saturday is more about the difference. Entrepreneurs are hoping people shop small this weekend, but are consumers buying big into the idea? Diane Mocha has a look.
Workers are trimming this tree with blue and white in hopes of bringing in the green to certain retailers this holiday season.
We chose the blue and white theme for the Shop Small logo because it is blue and white.
Adam Zollinger is a designer hired by American Express to spruce up an urban shopping area in Chicago as part of Small Business Saturday.
It is to draw attention to one neighborhood in particular. Not that that neighborhood is better than any of the other ones. It's just the start of something big. I mean, they're doing, American Express is doing this Main Street makeover in 5 cities across the country.
While most consumers know about the craziness of Black Friday and more are signing on to the convenience of Cyber Monday, the holiday shopping season's newest wannabe tradition is still unknown to about half of shoppers.
No, I haven't heard of that one.
Small Business Saturday encourages customers to spend money at locally owned establishments on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. American Express says 4 years after it created the annual promotion, 82% of those aware of it plan to seek out an independent retailer or restaurant that day.
Sounds like a fantastic idea.
It's important.
The owner of City Souls is hosting a wine tasting, bringing in a local live band, and staying open later for Small Business Saturday to underscore the advantage he has over national chains, and it's not price.
All my employees are super fashion educated. They know that every shoe has a story, every brand has a story behind it, where they're made, about the designer.
Scott hopes if customers set foot in his trendy shop on Small Business Saturday, they'll be inspired to step back in throughout the year, and that could be the best gift of all for an entrepreneur. In Chicago, Diane Mocha, First Business News.
A survey by American Express and the National Federation of Independent Businesses finds that most consumers like the idea of supporting local retailers. Coming up, is it time to take the money and run? With 2015 around the corner, one money manager's advice for how to wrap up the year. Plus, how to market your company to generate mass appeal. World's richest families is downsizing. The Rockefellers are leaving their namesake 30 Rock Center offices in New York City. The Rockefellers sold 30 Rock in 2000 but maintained their rarefied office space on at least one floor since 1933. The family will only say about the move, "We got a deal." Bill Mahler is here now with tips on brand building.
Angie, as you know, any big company that's established a brand and wants to go national with it thinks, well, all you need is one coast-to-coast branding image. Of course, the country has become greatly homogenized, but it may be that when it comes to how we respond to branding images, regionalism may still matter. The book, Speak American 2, argues for brand specificity, at least in the American heartland, which is where 60% of consumers reside. It was written by Paul Jankowski. He runs the agency New Heartland Group right there in the heart of the heartland, Nashville, Tennessee. And the map on the cover shows pretty clearly the outline of the heartland of this country. So, Paul, how did this come to you that what resonates with consumers in L.A. and New York may fall flat in Peoria and Atlanta?
Hey, Bill, you know, doing business on both coasts and also being a consumer right here in the middle, I found that the messaging that's coming out of brands doesn't always connect here. That's why the title of the book is Speak American, which just means to be culturally relevant when you communicate with us in the middle.
All right, so you have to think of the culture and not just look at the demographic, then, of the heartland.
Couldn't say it better myself, Bill. Actually, this is a cultural segment. And when you're looking at it from a branding perspective, we look at lots of times how to brand to certain cultures. This is a cultural segment, a very large cultural segment, and it needs to be treated that way.
Well, what are the unique cultural aspects of the heartland?
You know, core values are not exclusive here by any stretch, but they seem to be a little bit more at the surface. So core values such as faith, not religion necessarily, community, family, those kinds of things are more at the surface. So brands need to understand where they play in buying behavior.
So is the region of the heartland the only distinct one in this country? Differences in the rest of the USA, in the East and the West Coast, the Northwest? They don't have to have special branding images for those areas?
There's nuances of all parts of this country, but if you look at the sheer number, 60% of Americans live in what I call the new heartland. The Midwest, the Southwest, and most of the Southeast makes up this cultural segment. So from a sheer number standpoint, brands should be aware of the amazing opportunity that if they just create culturally relevant messaging, they have a huge opportunity to win in what I call the new heartland.
All right, man who speaks with experience, Paul Jankowski. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Still ahead, so many gains in the stock market this year and so much to lose. A money manager's advice on how to hang on to what you've got after the break. Been a tremendous year for the stock market. Joining us now is Matt Shapiro. He is president of MWS Capital. Matt, you are holding a number of portfolios for your customers. So what is your advice on what to do with the gains that people have made this year?
The first thing is don't mess with success. You know, a lot of people beginning in January 2014 thought this year would be a write-off, and of course the markets delivered some stellar returns, and even fixed income did very well. So, you know, there's always an end-of-year allocation question. Should you take money off the table? Did you put it into fixed income? What do you do with it? Well, of course it's a little bit more problematic, because if you take money out of stocks and put it into fixed income, with interest rates being so low, there's almost just as much risk doing that as leaving it into stocks when so many indicators for the economy look so good for 2015.
For a person who feels good about the market, they like what they've made so far, you're telling us then it's okay because it's just as much of a risk to go in than to move it maybe to bonds.
It really is. Now, there's nothing wrong with taking some gains, and what I suggest is this, is looking at those beaten down sectors. So not an allocation necessarily from stocks to bonds, but a sector allocation. The small caps didn't do so well. European stocks did very poorly. I think there's opportunities in global bonds, and especially oil stocks. And if you're a gold bug, of course, gold didn't do well this year. So there's lots of stuff you can look at, notwithstanding just blanket taking money out of stocks, putting it into bonds.
Recently, I heard Susie Orman telling people to put money into municipal bonds. Is that something you would do?
Depends on the state. Remember, coupons are going to be relatively low. The good thing about municipal bonds, and I do agree with her, it's a completely separate asset class. However, if interest rates do rise and you're stuck in a low 2 to 3% coupon, you're not going to have as good as results as you've had over the last couple of years. The returns in municipal bonds this year were quite unexpected.
Thank you for that wealth of information, Matt.
You're welcome, Angie. Take care.
Well, that closes out our day. Coming up tomorrow, how some Americans will buy direct from farmers this Thanksgiving in turkey towns. From all of us at First Business, it's time for us to trot out of here for today.